I killed a merchant! Wait, no, don't. I seduce the dragon. Please, stop. I run to the treasure before anyone gets there, and I put it in my pockets before the rest of the party see how much there is. Do your players ever try absolutely crazy things that you know will destroy the campaign? Well, you need this great new Grit and Glory invention. No, you don't do that. A clear and decisive tool for you to use to cudgel your players' dream. Hey everyone, welcome to the Grit and Glory, where we learn how to improve the gaming experience. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe. But now, onto the video. The word no has almost become a forbidden word amongst D&D players, but it really shouldn't be. It's a word that can and sometimes has to be used in order to keep a game running, alive, and healthy. And you don't even have to have awful players to use it. The biggest problem with D&D is that people have been told it's improv, that you should always be yes-anding even if you don't want to. And to be honest, most people would think it's awkward to blatantly stop their friends from doing what they want to do. I mean, the game is literally branded as you can do anything. But, I mean, theoretically you can, but it should always be within boundaries. This is why a session 0 is vital, but I'll get into that in another video. Obviously, we hope that everyone on our table will use their common sense and won't cross any major boundaries, at least not intentionally. But as everyone who has read RPG horror stories knows, there will always be that guy in any hobby. It's just a simple matter of fact. And when someone does cross a major boundary, that's when you need to step in. Your role is game master. You need to keep the game running. It's not just the fantasy world that you're running the table as well. You're responsible for the enjoyment at that table from all of the players. This is especially true when you're running for newbies or strangers. The most classic example of when you should use this tool is the classic, I killed a king! You know how parties are. Maybe the bard tried to seduce his wife and things got out of hand. Or maybe they just asked him for something and he said no. But for whatever reason, your party now wants to kill the king. In some campaigns, that is absolutely fine. And I've even played in games where that's been pivotal moments and it's been really fun. I strongly encourage you to let your players do that in those types of campaign. But my point here is that it is campaign specific. Maybe your campaign so far has been about a band of lawful good heroes saving the day. And you don't really want it to turn into a group of outlaws escaping justice, especially not over just one singular action. You have to ask yourself something. Is that what you signed up for? Is that what your players signed up for in the session 0? And is that the kind of campaign that you want to run? If not, then that is when you use the magical words, no, you don't do that. The key to using this tool is that it's not one and done, okay? You need to have a discussion with your players afterwards. Ask if they're all on board with this action or not. And if they are, discuss the details of the consequences and make sure you're being open and honest about how you feel about it, whether you're comfortable running that kind of campaign. Because let's be honest, it's a hell of a lot of work to run a campaign. And just because you don't have the modicum of player doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be having fun. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that you should be putting down every wild and wacky idea that your players come to you with. If they want to sneak into a really elaborate dinner and you hadn't had that all planned, then that's fine. You're going to have to make a bit of improv. If they want to try and con their way into the Thieves Guild, even though they've never stolen so much as a sack of potatoes, let them try. That can be super, super fun. What I'm trying to get a point here is that you need to be able to discern between the wild and wacky fun ideas that are going to be highlights in your campaign and the wild, wacky ideas that are going to destroy your campaign and ruin everyone's fun. However, so far, I have been working with the idea that you and everyone at your table are reasonable people. And of course, that's not always the case. I steal the paladin's gold whilst he sleeps. We all know what causes these kinds of actions. Maybe the rogue and paladin player had an argument earlier. Maybe the rogue is just a newbie and still in his edgelord phase. It doesn't really matter. In cases like this, you need to take more drastic action. Of course, you will get backlash when you tell these people no. And you'll often get excuses like, but that's what my character would do. And in such cases, you need to stand your ground and have firm footing. Say things like, okay, if that is what your character honestly would do, and you're not comfortable playing that character in another way, then fine. That character is now retired, make a new character. The reason for this, as harsh and brutal as it sounds, is because TTRPGs are cooperative storytelling games. You have to be cooperative. If people are being confrontational amongst the party, then it is not really good for the whole cooperative side of the game, and it will stunt and stop the growth of the game, and people will just stop having fun. Yes, sure, I know that some people do love PvP in their games, and yeah, if you're a really close-knit party that really know each other's boundaries and where you can and where you can't push, then it can add to the table, but it is very rare. So I say PvP is rarely an addition because it can work. I've even had it work in my own campaigns once. I played a dwarven druid who actually teamed up with the BBEG and betrayed the party. And this was great because it was a really big twist and it was great for the story and it made sense, but it was also planned months in advance between me and the GM. And it was a session where I retired that character and they became an NPC right afterwards. So in certain situations like that, it is a great addition to the story, but you really need to be careful when and how you do it, and you need to plan ahead with it, okay? So in that kind of situation, my advice to you is that you need to take control as a game master. You need to lay down the law and stop it before it gets out of hand. If you try and say something like, I'll let the paladin roll perception, or let them just duke it out in the game, then the game mechanics will let it go haywire, and you might find yourself with a real world fight as well as the fantasy world fight, and nobody wants that. So what you need to do is just say, no, you can't steal his gold. No, you cannot try to steal his gold. No, I don't care that you rolled a natural 20 and you got a 58 in total. I never asked for the roll, okay? That's such terrible advice, man. Like, you're totally stealing the player agency, control freak. Yeah, you're right. It does infringe on player agency, but that's actually okay because player agency isn't the be-all end-all, okay? It shouldn't go above the actual enjoyment of the game. And if one player's agency is infringing on all the other player agencies, then yeah, you should still put an end to it, okay? What is happening? What's happening? Oh no, he's growing stronger, more powerful. It's that guy GM. I am all powerful. Nothing can stop me now. Okay, well, that was easy. So yes, unfortunately sometimes that guy is the GM, and in such a case, assuming that you are the player, you need to learn how to take these tools up into your own hands. As I stated earlier, being the GM gives you a great deal of power over the game table, and that incurs a great deal of responsibility. So you as the player needs to tell your GM when they are abusing that power and when they are failing in that responsibility. But just like with players, this is not always intentional, so don't come at them with hostility. You need to use your discernment to tell whether this is just a simple mistake or oversight, or whether it is malicious in intent. And in such a case where there is malicious nature, I would suggest you leave that table, because whilst a player can be kicked from the table, the GM really can't be. So you should excuse yourself, and maybe if you have friends at the table, convince them to come along with you and start up your new table. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, check out the website in the description below, where you'll find details about the Kickstarter that's going live in September, so make sure to back it. And in the meantime, you can check out my Patreon for more exclusive content, or for YouTube content, you can look here.